Welcome back to Meg's Mysteries, Hidden Magic, Part 2, The Blue Nymph. Chapter 1. Welcome to my story. My name is Delphine. I'm a wood nymph. You never heard of a wood nymph? I guess we're more of a myth than you might have come across, maybe in a folklore tale. Nothing to do with your everyday life, but you are so wrong. We are and always will be here. You may never see us, but we're still watching over our beloved nature. The trees, the rivers, meadows, etc. All of nature. We are one with nature. You humans have little to no regard for nature and her beauty. You take everything for granted until someday it's all gone. So we hide away and protect her the best we can. This is how it started with me, my personal acquaintance with humans. It's a bittersweet story of love, betrayal, and revenge. Many centuries have passed, but I remember every detail like it was yesterday. It was a time of kings, queens, princes and princesses, castles and knights, war and peace, and rich and poor. I was very young when I first encountered a human. I was about 4 or 5 years old on this planet. My life was beautiful and wondrous. Magic was everywhere. I had so much love for my family and friends, my mother and father, and sisters of the woods, a whole beautiful world of wonder. All the animals and plants could talk to me and were my friends. I protected them and they protected me. All things magical were at my fingertips. I was happy. One day I was playing by my favorite spring near where my laurel tree grew. I loved and protected it. It had the most beautiful leaves and white, fragrant flowers. Each of the nymphs had their special tree to protect. All of my sisters had their own tree. So down by the spring was where I spent most of my time with my best friend Nada. She's a native nymph. She was there too in her spring. They protect springs and rivers like we protect our trees. Mermaids and sirens protect the oceans. We were playing and splashing around, collecting rocks and stones, so beautiful they could be gems. I made Nada a crown of laurel flowers for her hair, and she made me a beautiful bracelet of the gemstones from her spring. It was like any other day. We were careful not to disturb any nature's beauty. When we heard something crying, we looked all around but couldn't figure out what it was. It was like nothing we ever heard. Nada got scared and didn't want to see where it was coming from. But I was curious and wanted to help whoever or whatever it was. Then our faithful friend Mother Wolf came out of the woods. I told you, I could talk to animals, plants of nature. She said, "Come follow me, I'll show you where to go." She was out there with her cubs deep into the forest, and she came upon a sight she had never seen before. Nada said, "No, Delphine, your parents, the king and queen of the forest, forbid us to venture out of our realm." I told her I must go and help, so I followed Mother Wolf and her cubs into the forest. It wasn't far from where we were. I saw a small bundle of cloth under a tree. It was quiet now, but it looked like it was trembling. We watched carefully as not to scare it, whatever it was. Also, we were scared of what it might be. I knew we really should not be here or get caught helping something we don't know nothing about. All of a sudden, a small face looked up at us and saw us. He was a small human boy. His eyes grew wide and scared. I said, "Don't worry, we'll not harm you. We're here to help." The boy said, "I don't know who or what you are, but I'm scared, cold, and I'm lost." Mother Wolf said to me, "We can keep him warm and feed him, but then we must take him home where he belongs." So he followed us to the wolf den, and we kept him warm with the cubs cuddling close to him. I got berries and fruit and water, and he ate, and then he fell fast asleep. Then we sat down and tried to figure out where he came from and how to get him home. It felt like he slept for many hours. He was exhausted from his ordeal. Finally, he woke up, and I gave him more food and water. He thanked us and started to tell us who he was and where he came from. I am Prince Frederick III of Lansbury. My father is King Frederick II. His father is King Frederick I, my grandfather. My mother is Queen Annabella, and I'm the only son and heir to the throne of Lansbury. I was playing after my fencing lesson. I know I'm quite small, a young boy to be fencing, but my father insists I learn all I can as soon as I can, so I can take over my kingdom. I'm allowed only a short time for myself to play, so I got away from the guards who are always around watching me. I really don't like it, but it's their duty, so I comply with my father's wishes. My mother also worries about me all the time. I got caught up in the game of hunt and saw a deer who ran into the forest. I'm never allowed in there, but I couldn't help myself. I didn't want to hurt the deer like other hunters do. I just wanted to see her, so I followed her deep into the forest. Then I got lost. I tried to get out, but by doing so, I got deeper into the dark forest. I cried myself to sleep, and that's where you found me. We said, "We'll get you home, but it may take a while to find out where you live. We never venture out to the forest. Meanwhile, we'll keep you safe." I had to leave for a while, but I still will be back as soon as I can. I didn't want anyone of my family to wonder where I was. I told Nada not to tell anyone, and I ventured off, and what we found, they'll never accept it. My parents would be very angry. So I left him with Mama Wolf, the cubs, and I knew she would keep him safe. He loved playing with the cubs. I went home to my tree and did what I had to do to look like a normal day and show everyone I was home. I talked to some of my sisters, and I also saw my mother. After a while, I said, "I'm off to play with Nada. I'll be back before dark." Mother smiled and said, "Have a wonderful time and give my love to all the spring nymphs, if you see them." I ran as fast as I could to the wolf den. They were playing. The cubs were playing with the prince, and he looked so happy and was having a great time. He greeted me with a smile and said, "I love nature. I love it here. It's so free and beautiful. It's animals and amazing trees and flowers." My father doesn't like me talking like that. He wants me to be strong, a great hunter, and a king like himself. He'll look so sad, but I don't want to hurt nobody. Anything. I just love nature, but soon he'll make me go on a real hunt. I thought for such a small boy he had so much wisdom and kindness. I never knew any human before. Wonder why they want to harm any living creature. So I took him to my special place, the spring. Nada was there, and she soon vanished when she heard us coming. She was still a little afraid, and I don't blame her. I showed him everything around, my tree and everything. He said it was wonderful. Then I told him who I was. He never heard of nymphs, fairies, satyrs, gods, or any immortals creatures, especially magic. He was memorized with my stories and wanted to know all about it. I told him my father is the king, King Santos, and my mother is Queen Mora. My father is a satyr, the male equivalent of a nymph. My mother is a nymph of the mulberry tree. They fell in love. They both received blessings from their gods to marry. Pan, the god of the satyrs, who was also god of wild shepherds, flocks, music, forest, woodland, all of nature. He had horns and legs like a goat and a body of a man. My father is also a satyr. He takes after him. He was his favorite of Pan, and that's how he became king of this forest. He was given permission to marry a nymph. My mother, Mora, the nymph of the mulberry tree, was also given permission to marry from her goddess. She was a handmaiden, and she was a favorite of the goddess. That's how they were married, happy, and raised 20 children. I'm the youngest. That explains who and what we do and why no human can see us. We protect everything in nature and are rewarded with special powers. We can blend into nature and hide when we feel the need to. You can only see us if we allow you to. I called Nada to come out and see our new friend. She was scared, but she did come out of the spring waters to greet him. We talked and played all together for hours like old friends. Then I had to leave, so Mother Wolf took him back to the den. I told him, I'll be back and we'll play together. So that's what we did. We kept him a secret. He was happy with the wolf family. For about 4 days he stayed with us until we got the plans to take him back home. It was a bittersweet moment, but we had to return him to his kind and not tell anybody about us and his adventures with us. I gave him a special stone from the spring and embedded on it a flower from my tree. He promised to keep our secrets. He'll never tell anybody, he said, as long as he lives. So out of the forest to an open field we took him, in front of the castle. We went as far as we could without being seen by the mortals. He was sad, and also we were sad, but we had to say goodbye. He said, I want to come see you again, but I reminded him, I gave you this special stone, so if you really need us, it holds magic. All you have to do is hold it and call us, and we'll come. I never thought he would. I thought he would forget it all. But that's a good thing for all of us, if he did. So we all went home, and we left him, sad but happy that we met him and that we helped him. But years passed, and I was about 13 now, turning into a beautiful young lady. I was still close to Nada and Mother Wolf. We were sitting by the spring, just talking. All of a sudden, a young, handsome man appeared. Mother Wolf knew who it was by his scent. But we disappeared, Nada into the spring waters and me into my tree. He was looking all around like he lost something. He was alone and very careful not to disturb anything. He sat down on the rock by the spring where we used to talk. I knew who he was then. The prince had returned, but I still kept out of sight. My father would be so mad if I encountered a mortal to interact with us. He never found out about us helping him many years ago. Prince Frederick grew into a fine young man indeed. I was drawn to his beautiful hair, green eyes that sparkled with hints of gold, his gentle manner and his presence. He had an air about him that commanded respect. I knew he was also kind-hearted just by looking at him. I didn't know how I knew these things, but I just had a feeling. So I let him see a glimpse of me, just a flash of blue out of the corner of his eye. Then he smiled and said, Delphine, I know it's you. Don't be afraid. Come out. Let me see you. So I did. Nada and Mother Wolf stayed hidden, but I had to see him, so I came out. We had a talk again. He gasped when he saw me. He said, My, you are more beautiful than I could imagine. I blushed, but I only got bluer. My skin is a light blue shade, hence the name, the Blue Nymph. That's what my sisters named me. We all had different appearances and personalities. All nymphs have their own special looks and powers. Mine are blending in anywhere, helping all of nature and their creatures, and taking care of our environment. We were so happy to see each other, we hugged and laughed. How much we changed. I thought, you forgot about us, I said to him. He said, never. I dream about you every night. I had to break my vows not to remember you and come see you again. I told him, I'm glad you did, but we must be very careful. He told me he remembered all my stories and secrets. He couldn't help himself. It left such an impression on him. I remember the time I fell on a slippery rock while we were playing in the spring. I cut my leg. You cried and a tear fell on the cut. It was completely healed in a second. You laughed and said, that's one of my special powers, to heal with a tear from a nymph. So I made myself cry and heal you. I'm surprised you can remember that. It was so long ago. We sat and talked for a long time. I told him to leave before night comes. He didn't want to, but he did what I asked. He came back every day for about a month. We laughed and shared our thoughts and dreams. We were falling in love, but knew it could never be. I had to send him back to his world, and I had to let him go. I asked if he still had the stone I gave him, and if he ever needed me, just ask it. Long ago, I gave him the special magic stone when he left the first time. It was made of a blue stone and one of my white flowers from my laurel tree, like a fossil. He understood and said, "I'll never forget you, and I will keep your secret till the day I die." That was 5 years ago. Then my world fell apart. Everything I knew and loved turned out to be in danger of losing my magical and wonderful peaceful life. It started when he left, and I tried to go on with life. I should have never let a mortal into my world. It was a mistake I would never forget. Come back for When Worlds Collide next time on Meg's Mysteries. Until next time.